So in the second part of this file handling, this is the part I'm gonna be creating the the project for. So this project has one basic thing, that's tracking the expense in the file, or in the JSON file, in the TXT file, or any file that you want, in the JSON or TXT file. But I'm gonna be doing in the JSON file because JSON has because we can like manipulate the data in the JSON file very easily. So I'm gonna be creating the two functions, but before that I'm gonna be creating a def main. That's the function, and just copy me. Okay, if you are this is a very a little bit intermediate thing, so just copy me. I'm going to be explaining you in the next part of this Python file, in the Python intermediate series. So the def main has this thing called, if I'm going to be writing like while true, so this loop is gonna be just looping through it, just looping until it got false. Okay, so I'm gonna be writing it while true, so I'm gonna be print welcome to this welcome to expense tracker, and then again I'm gonna be printing it, press 1 for adding the expense, and then print press 2 to view expenses, and then view monthly expenses or any expenses that you really want. But I'm going to be adding the just view expenses. We can write monthly expenses if you want to, but just stick to view expenses. Just print like press 3 to exit. Okay, press 3 to exit. So these are things that's being printed. I'm going to be inputting, that's like choice equals to integer input. Why integer input? Because all of the data that's been coming into the input function, input method is coming as a string. So if the person write 1, so it's gonna be kind of converting into string, and that's not going to be implement our logic and functionality that we want to add up to. So we're gonna be changing the string to integer, so that we can like take the logic to the next level. So integer input, and just like we're gonna be just giving it like this thing, so that user have no problem entering the thing. Okay, so if it's just as a simple logic that I have told you in the previous part of my series, if choice equal to 1, you're gonna be हम यहाँ पे क्या करने वाले हैं, यहाँ पे एक फंक्शन चलाने वाले हैं, जिसके अंदर फंक्शन का नाम होगा हमारे पास add expense function. Okay, this function is gonna be made by me थोड़ा देर बाद में. So lf choice equals to 2, यहाँ हम क्या करने वाले हैं, view expense होगा, and then we have got the lf choice is equals to 3. So we're gonna be exiting the function, we're gonna be exiting the loop. So okay, so we're gonna be creating the function called add expense. Just like there, we're gonna be adding pass, so there is nothing going on in the function. Just like def view expense, the same thing is gonna happen in this thing pass. Okay, cool. So but before that, we have to understand how I'm gonna be like yes. So but before that, we have to create, how I'm gonna be opening the file of the JSON file, because JSON file can't be handled through these basic functions. In my first video I have done with the JSON file handling, so you can also see that, but in this video I'm going to be also doing that thing. So import JSON. So if JSON is the package that we're going to be handling upon the data, and but before I have to understand like how maybe JSON handling is done. So we're going to be doing a load file function, and this function is going to be doing that with open. So with open is a function that also open the file, so it's a little easy to do that with. So it's take less area, and you're going to be doing the same functionality with open. We have got expenses.json in the read mode. So okay, so in the read mode as file, the name of the file would be file, and the JSON return JSON dot load and dot file. And okay, and else return me the array. So what's happening here is you're going to be loading the JSON file, the expenses.json file in the JSON mode, because you're not open the file in the read mode as the basic of the JSON file. We have to open it in the txt. We can only open the read mode in the text txt file format. So to open the file in the JSON format, you have to use these thing called json.load, so it will load me the JSON file. So we're going to be doing that in the add expenses. So we're going to be taking the input, taking underscore input is equals to input, enter the date of today's, enter the date for the expense, the date you have hold your expenses for, and leave null for the today's date. So like for example, if the taking input हमारे पास taking input हमारे पास यहाँ पे आ जाएगा. So हमारे पास यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है कि यहाँ पे हम क्या करने वाले हैं, यहाँ पे एक तो हमने ये वाला taking input ले लिया. Just change the name, the date हम यहाँ पे खाली लेते हैं, date is equals to this, and then what we're gonna be doing, the taking the expense. So what's your expense was? So the expense was the input, and enter the expense. Like for example, if food or anything, like how many dollars you have spent on, enter the expense. Like for example, $100, okay, $100. So, and then we're gonna be adding the description. Okay, description is equals to input, enter the description of the expense. Like for example, if you have added like food or any grocery or anything that you have done, for example electronics, for example you have bought a new iPad, so you're going to be adding those description. So we're going to be doing like in a data format, in an object or dictionary format. We're going to be converting that dictionary into the JSON format and adding the data into the JSON file. So we're going to be adding like date is equals to the date, like do this, like date is date, and then expense is the expense, and then the description is description of the expense that you have done. So description would be description. So we're going to be opening the file. We have to load the file. So we're going to be naming the file as expenses is equals to load file. So the load file will load the file, and we can open the file is like expenses is equal to load file. So but before that we have to like use the def save expense, because the save expense thing would do that कि यहाँ से जाके हमारे पास वो JSON और डंप करेगा, वो डंप फाइल के अंदर डंप कर देगा. तो यहाँ पे हम क्या करने वाले हैं, यहाँ पे सेव एक्सपेंस वाला चलाने वाले हैं, और यहाँ पे हम भेज देंगे एक्सपेंस फाइल जो हमारे पास होगी. अब यहाँ पे हम क्या करने वाले हैं, यहाँ पे हमने सेव एक्सपेंस कर दिया, हमने यहाँ पे ओपन कर देना है विद ओपन फाइल डॉट जेसॉन. बल्कि यहाँ पे एक काम करते हैं, इसको फाइल हमने ओपन कर लिया यहाँ पे, और हम हमें भेज रहे होंगे एक्सपेंसेस इक्वल टू लोड फाइल. एक्सपेंसेस खुली हुई होगी जेसॉन फाइल के अंदर विद ओपन फाइल एज एक्सपेंस फाइल. एंड what we're going to be doing is json dot dump. हमने क्या करना है, डंप करना है फाइल को एक्सपेंस फाइल में, एंड देन इंडेंट इज इक्वल्स टू 4 हम यहाँ पे कर देंगे. सो दैट्स द बेसिक ऑफ हाउ गोना बी एक्सपेंसिंग द फाइल. सो save expense आ जाएगा, and then what are we dumping into the file is the data. So just throw the data from here, and then accepting the data in here, and then data, and then what are we dumping is in the expense file. What are we dumping? We are dumping the data. So cool, we have done all of the thing that we really wanted to do. So this is the expenses, not expense, and the file and the expense file, and then everything is cool. So if I go to like if underscore name equals to underscore main, underscore name is equals to underscore main, like I'm forgetting what's that. So let's not do that. I'm gonna be just using the main function. So everything is done, everything is cool. I have done these things. I'm gonna be replacing it because I have done this before. So just open the file, and we have added like enter one to add this. So enter the date for the expense. I'm gonna be leaving null today, and for like $100. So in the description we have added for the food. So I'm getting an error. So what? So after decoding what had happened in the previous section of the video, what happened was the error came in because of the fact that there was no data in the file. That's why it was giving me an error that there is no data in the file. So I have added like a try except error where it will say that try this and except अगर तुम्हारे पास ये वाला error आए, if you got file not found error or json.decode or json decode error, this is a kind of error that gives you in the console, so it will return me an array that you can do. That's why you can do anything on this array. Okay, so the next thing I had done is like I have also added like a expenses.append thing, and expenses is equal to loading the file, and after that the file is appending on the data, and append is the method that is applied on the array, because now when there is no data, it is now applying operations on the array. Like for example, you have no data, so it will be returning me an array. So now you can like append the data in it, because the append is the operation is the method of an array. So after that you're gonna be adding the save expenses, and I'm giving the this expenses.json file name to the save expense file, what save expense function, and the expenses that's the file name. So it is accepting the file and the data, and after that the data is being added into the json.dump in the expense file, and the indent is equals to 4, that the indentation will be given. So after that, like for example, if I remove this all, I'm gonna be taking you through the whole steps. Like for example, if I like adding the expense, if I click the 1 and enter the data and enter the date for the expense, leave null for today's date, I'm gonna be leaving the null. We're gonna be doing something over it, so just hold on a bit. Like for example, $100 के यहाँ पे मेरे पास खर्चा हुआ है, and the खर्चा हुआ है यहाँ पे food के ऊपर. So you can see that it's date. For example, if I like another type, I'm leaving null, and the expense is $200 on the let's say item X. So there is another data item that's been added. Like you can say this is an array of an object. That's why you can append the data in it. So, and after that I'm gonna be doing like for example view expenses section. So that's the basic thing, like view expense, there is nothing like more than that. So I'm gonna be taking the expenses file in it, expenses is equal to load file, and if I just print करूँ मैं यहाँ पे expenses को, like for example if I do this and then again loaded, I am just clicking on the 2. So you can see that all the data had been appeared before my console. So there is nothing more than that. But if you want to be adding like for example month tracker, monthly tracker, so you can do that also. Like for example, if I take this thing like I also take like for example month is equals to input यहाँ पे करवा दूँ मैं, enter the expenses month. Like for example, if it's in April or June or July, like if it's in April or May. Okay, so I'm gonna be adding here the view section. We're gonna be view section. So I'm just taking like for example, there will be a month section in here, like date and then month. So if I loop through it for index in expenses, if like for example, if like I'm gonna be adding another input is equals to input, and then enter the month you want to enter, you want to view expenses for. We are not handling any we are not handling any errors, because the error is an intermediate part. I'm going to be adding the later series के अंदर मैं डालने वाला हूँ try except error वगैरह. So just stick with me like that. So यहाँ पे month में आने वाला है if अगर हम कहें यहाँ पे if we just loop through the expenses, if for index in expenses, like don't index for expense in expenses, if we say like if expense of month, the month is in like you haven't added like month in here, so month is the month. Okay, so if the expense of month is equals to month, so I'm going to be returning all the expenses of that month. Like for example, if I remove all of the data in here and just gonna be doing this thing, like if I run the data, if I run the program and like enter the date, I'm gonna be leaving null, like $200 food pe kharcha hua, and the month is April. So another thing is like I'm gonna be adding like view one, and the date is null. I'm gonna be adding the date. Just hold on a bit. $200 and the food and the electronics में मेरा खर्चा हुआ है इसके अंदर electronics, and the May is the May and the month is the May. If I say view expenses, then I'm going to be adding the April, so I'm getting an error. So the month is in April, so the April May. So if an expense of the month is in this, if I print the expense, let's say what's coming in this. Let's see what's coming in this month. So April. So I'm getting like a month and the month. If I print the expense, of month and then just see what is happening, like if I just enter the April, so I'm getting the month is like April and May. So if I say if expense of month is equals to the month that you have got, print me the expense. Okay, so what's the error in it? I'm not sure what's the error in it. Let's say May. So yeah, cool. I'm getting the expense that's been coming up, like date and expense, and $200 is the expense. Let's do this one thing. Like expense would be expense, and then this will be our dollar signal. Let's try this. Let's not do this. Just do this thing. Print like the expense is just use the string formatting. I have also made a video on the string formatting thing. You can also check that out. Like expense, the USD for the expense of May is, I'm gonna be adding the expense of expense and just cool. Our program has been completed, और जो यहाँ पे मैंने ऐड करने का था वो भी हो चुका है. And then just cool enough, we can also add the you can also manipulate all the thing. That it's all about the creativity, what you're going to do. Like for example, you can like add up all of the data in it. For example, you have got $3 of shopping you have done in your first day, and $100. So if you add 103 would be your monthly expense. So that's how you can also add up all of the data in it. So our project has been completed, and I think another thing has been done. So that's for my side, and we have also done about the file handling, and also about how to like add up the file and the data. We have also created the project, the expense tracker, and in the next episodes there are so many good things that's gonna be happening. So just stay tuned.